Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. Welcome to the second edition I have for you this morning here on the 6th day of January 2017. There are 5 articles in this episode for you, and the URLs, of course, are in the description of the video for your convenience so that you can get information out of these that you would like to check out. There's some videos in a few of these here for you. It's off of IntelliHub.com, and it says WikiLeaks threatens defamation suit against CNN after ex-CIA deputy director a pedophile on the air. It looks as if WikiLeaks might be coming into some free money in their near future after botched CNN segment suggested Assange is a pedophile. WikiLeaks tweeted following the airing of a botched segment on CNN that they have issued instructions to sue CNN for defamation. The tweet said that they would not go ahead with a lawsuit if the news outlet aired an expose of the plot against Assange within 48 hours. And the tweet is shown here. It says, "We have issued instructions to sue CNN for defamation. .com/WL Task Force / and it goes on that hyperlink, and it says unless within 48 hours they air a 1-hour expose of the plot." And the article continues and said this was in reference to a segment in which CNN had the ex-deputy director of the CIA on, falsely calling Assange a pedophile. The tweet linked to a story on McClatchydc.com, which describes how the UN and a fake dating site were used in a Clinton-linked plot to frame Assange as a Russian agent and a pedophile. Dating site toddandclaire.com seem really good at cloak and dagger stuff, disconnected phones, mystery websites, actions that ricocheted around the globe. But the attention grabber is this Houston-based company's target, Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, whose steady dumps of leaked emails from Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign have given support of Donald Trump the only of the last few weeks. In some ways, toddandclaire.com's campaign against Assange is a revelatory as the leaked emails themselves, illustrating the powerful, sometimes unseen forces that oppose WikiLeaks. Behind the dating site has marshaled significant resources to target Assange enough to gain entry into a United Nations body, operate in countries in Europe, North America, and the Caribbean, conduct surveillance on Assange's lawyer in London, obtain a fax number of Canada's Prime Minister, and seek to prod a police inquiry in the Bahamas. And they've done it at a time when WikiLeaks has become a routine target of Democratic politicians who portray Assange of Russian President Vladimir Putin and his reported efforts to disrupt the U.S. election. One part of Todd and Claire's two-pronged campaign put a megaphone to unproven charges that Assange made contact with a young Canadian girl in the Bahamas through the internet with the intention of molesting her. The second part sought to entangle him in a plan to receive $1 million from the Russian government. The dating site is a highly suspicious and likely fabricated company. In turn, the company lashed out at Assange on his despicable activities against American national security and warned journalists to check with your libel lawyers first before printing anything that could impact or endanger innocent people's lives. So why are the parties to the melee with both barrels blazing? That remains a mystery of the kind that might take a WikiLeaks-style document dump to suss out. What is beyond dispute, though, is that the attacks on WikiLeaks rose as the group released a first batch of leaked Democratic National Committee emails in July, days before the party's national convention, and again this month, releasing thousands of emails from the account of John Podesta, Clinton's campaign chairman. The company paints itself as all-American online material, says its founders, Todd and Claire Hammond, American couple from Michigan who met in the 8th grade. In 2011, the company says the Christian couple started an email dating service and have 2,000 couples to date. Their online network began in 2015. Filed to a UN body says it has 100,000 plus female singles in 6 countries. The address is a warehouse loading dock in Houston. Its mail goes to a Houston Dropbox. Its phone number is no longer working. Texas officials tell it the entity is not registered. They're either under toddandclaire.com or a parent company, Solutions. The person who responds to emails sent to the company declined to identify himself or herself to answer further questions. Confirm the information you are requesting to anyone other than our government and tax authorities. And companies have now been unfairly libeled by Wikileaks troll machine. We are being advised not to comment. An unsigned email from the company to McClatchy reporters said on Thursday morning. Behind toddandclaire.com persuaded a UN body known as the Global Compact to give it status as a participant in May, and it submitted an 8-page report to the UN group, carefully laying out its allegations against Assange. The firm was delisted by the UN body 8 days later and amid controversies over it. An Australian lawyer, Melinda Taylor, says the report's precise language raised additional suspicions at Wikileaks, where she assists Assange in human rights litigation. That's been drafted by a dating agency. It's a highly legalistic and very structured. It's the language of someone complex legal submission, she said. Under Todd Hammond's name, the report alleged that Assange's Swedish lawyer had reached out to offer Assange services on a campaign against rape in exchange for an undisclosed amount of Bitcoin. It said the two sides held 2 video conferences. Then came the bombshell. It said the company had ended its ties with Assange following pedophile crimes he had committed in the Bahamas in late September. It charged that the victim was the 8-year-old daughter of a Canadian couple on a month-long yachting vacation in Nassau on September the 28th, the report claimed, charging that his family held video and chat logs showing Assange internet grooming the child and propositioning the 8-year-old juvenile to perform oral and anal sex acts. It said Assange, refugee in Ecuador's embassy in London since 2012, made a connection to the child's 22-year-old sister, who was a client of the online dating site, gaining access. The assistant commissioner for the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Stephen Dean, said there's no investigation into any such incident, that the police have received that such an incident occurred. CNN's New Day show has since deleted the tweet that included the libelous video clip and issued a non-apologetic statement saying CNN has no evidence to support the ask that Assange was a pedophile. Additionally, the analyst who made that defamatory statement apparently regrets it. Regardless, the clip has been done. And here's the tweet on it. It says, an analyst on our air earlier today asserted that Julian Assange was a pedophile and regrets saying it. In fact, CNN has no evidence to support that assertion. Assange is currently wanted for extradition to Sweden to face sexual assault allegations there, and no evidence suggests that the women involved were minors. We regret the error. New Day tweeted, we've deleted the tweet that included the video clip from New Day earlier this morning. Here's our statement. The article continues and says, Wikileaks has obviously slapped CNN with an ultimatum, and now the ball is in CNN's court, and it's up to them to proceed from there. It will be interesting to see what course of action CNN takes and what actually happens after then. In this that you can take a look at, and it says, stay tuned to anheliahub.com for updates on this developing story. The next article I have for you is off of blacklistednews.com, and it says police are secretly installing GPS devices, audio, and video equipment on boats. To an article in the Portland Press Herald, the Maine Department of Marine Resources, or the DMR, wants the Marine Patrol to secretly install electronic surveillance devices on boats of fishermen suspected of violating state fishing regulations. Police will secretly spy on anyone suspected of violating fishing regulations. Like predictive policing, give yourself a gold star. Last year, I warned everyone that police would use predictive policing as an excuse to spy on and arrest innocent people. Bill of Rights ignored, so police can secretly spy on boaters. Last week, whether the Marine Patrol would be required to obtain a warrant from a court before deploying surveillance devices. Police are secretly installing GPS devices, audio and video equipment on boats. Marine law already allows Marine Patrol officers to obtain a warrant from a court to covertly install surveillance devices such as GPS, audio, or video equipment on vessels when officers have probable cause to believe the operator is engaged in criminal violations. And the Fourth Amendment means nothing to the police state. DHS on every boat. 2 years ago, I warned everyone that DHS and the Coast Guard have forced boaters to install a government tracking device which gives DHS their location every 15 to 20 seconds. The tracking system is called the National Automatic Identification System, NAIS. The program exceeds the stated purpose of the marine safety and constitutes an ongoing risk to the privacy and civil liberties of mariners across. The NAIS consists of approximately 200 VHF surveillance receiver sites located throughout the coastal continental United States, inland rivers, Alaska, Hawaii, and Guam. Maine's Marine Patrol claims it follows 100 years of a tradition by spying on boaters. All officers are instilled with the same philosophy that guided the wardens of 100 years ago, which is to be impartial and to work in close cooperation with fishermen. What fishermen would secretly want to be spied on? Marines' main patrol need to secretly install surveillance devices when DHS already knows every vessel's location, identity, and speed. Surveillance devices on boaters accused of civil infractions. In 2015, DMR Commissioner Patrick Kyler wanted to eliminate telling boaters accused of civil infractions about secret surveillance devices. Kyler said one option to address constitutionality concerns would be to continue requiring a warrant from the courts, but to eliminate the 24-hour advance notification for civil violations. The coverage of this blatant attack on our civil rights. Imagine if you committed a civil infraction while driving your car, such as forgetting to signal when turning. Now imagine the police secretly installing a GPS device, audio and video equipment in your car so they can catch you violating the law in real time. There's really no difference other than it's happening to boaters. Police justification of secret surveillance without a warrant and secret surveillance for civil infractions must be stopped. The next article I have for you is off of BizPac Review, and it says, Sheriff Joe Arapaho's newly sworn-in replacement will refer to illegal immigrants as elections have consequences. Residents in Maricopa County, Arizona may end up getting much more than they bargained for with this election to replace America's toughest Sheriff Joe Arapaho. Sheriff Paul Penzone was sworn in Wednesday, and he does not share his predecessor's tough stance on illegal immigration. Who was targeted by President Barack Obama's administration for enforcing U.S. immigration laws, called a spade immigrant and an illegal immigrant, but Penzone will not use that term, or politically correct undocumented immigrants for that matter. Instead, the new sheriff will refer to those who defy our laws as guests, as he looks to establish a caring community that focuses on crimes other than illegal immigration. There is video in this if you want to take a look at the video. The article continues and says, and only about 30 miles from the U.S.-Mexico border as the crow flies, the environment Penzone is ushering in may result in Maricopa County being overwhelmed by these guests. Penzone said he looks forward to working with the open border folks at ACLU in complying with federal court order to stop so-called discrimination against Latinos, according to ABC's 15 Arizona. The top priority is addressing the issue of the federal monitors and meeting those objectives and those outcomes, he said. We have to do that. We can't move forward until we've gotten on the same page, so I look forward to working with the ACLU. Make this stuff up. Well, I have for you is off of usatoday.com, and it says Sears closing 150 stores, selling Craftsman in attempt. The ailing retailer said Thursday that it had reached a deal to sell the tool brand to Stanley Black & Decker for a net present value of about $900 million, including future royalty payments, says USA Today. Department store chain Sears Holdings is seeking to stem its bleeding by closing another 150 stores, according to, including 108 Kmart locations, and selling its Craftsman brand to raise cash. The ailing retailer said Thursday that it had reached a deal to sell the tools brand to Stanley for a net present value of about $900 million, including future royalty payments. Several months after Sears put the Craftsman, Kenmore, and Die Hard brands up for sale, an exclusive turnaround. The company said late Wednesday that it would close 108 Kmart stores and 42 Sears stores, calling it a difficult but necessary step as we take actions to strengthen the company's operations and fund its transformation. Sears also announced Wednesday that it had landed access to $100 million in secured loans provided by Chairman Edward Lampert's investments. Lampert has invested heavily in Sears as he attempts to revitalize the retailer. Sears LD shares rose percent to close at $10.39 on Thursday. Stanley Black & Decker stock rose 1.61% to close at $118.35. There's the map here that shows the closing. If you want to pull it up and take a look at that. Continues and says, taken together, the steps reflect Sears' latest bid to stay afloat in that is weakening big box chains, including competitors such as Macy's and Kohl's. Macy's on Wednesday identified 68 stores it will close, already closed, and says it will correspond with about 6,200 job cuts, including management positions at central operations. Selling the Craftsman brand to Stanley Black & Decker bolsters the balance sheet, which reported a $748 million loss quarter ending October the 29th, as sales at stores open at least a year fell 7.4%. operate more than 1,300 stores following the latest closure and will continue to sell the Craftsman brand. 68 stores, total 10,100. Macy's, there's a link where you can click for Macy's that will show you if the store that you normally shop list. And the article continues and says, Decker said it would expand sales and manufacturing of its Craftsman brand, which 90% of its sales from Sears locations. Action represents a significant step in our ongoing transformation to a membership-focused business model, Lampert said in a statement. A storied history as an iconic American brand, and Stanley Black & Decker, we have found a great owner that is committed to expanding Craftsman and helping it to reach its potential outside of its current channels. The final article I have in this episode is off of BizPack Review, and it says, The Real Housewives of ISIS sketch goofs. It's called satire, and Britain's very good at it. A new BBC satire sketch is causing controversy as it simultaneously triggers backlash and praise. The revolting program on BBC features a skit called The Real Housewives of ISIS, which features gags about Western women groomed online by Islamic extremists, according to The Sun. Video in this, there's a tweet from Online Magazine that says, haha, meet the Real Housewives of ISIS. And the article continues and says, based on the Real Housewives of Orange County, the sketch is part of the new 6-part series written by Hayden Prowse and John Rubenstein. The revolution will be televised. The satire features hijab-wearing women offering up lines like, to the beheading, and I've no idea what to wear. The women portrayed as brides of ISIS fighters take selfies and show off suicide vests. Though many were highly critical and blasted the BBC for allowing the parody, there was also applause for a sketch that dared to be politically incorrect. Actually, according to Prowse, the BBC allowed the sketch to pass without any cuts, The Sun reported. It's important not to pull your punches in satire. You have to be fearless or it undermines your credibility. You can't go after David Cameron for 5 years like we did for Islamic State, he said. The target of the jokes is online grooming, not ISIS, co-writer Rubenstein said. Definitely sparked a reaction on Twitter as many chimed in with their views. There's a whole list of them here. I'll grab a couple. It says, that's so funny. Any death threats yet? It says, it's called satire and Britons are very good at it. Hashtag awkward. If you want to read all those, you can pull that article up and take a look at it. More episode that I'll be doing for you here shortly. So stay tuned. If you like what we're doing, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and check that little box beside the subscribe button. Hit that bell. Now, a box pop up. You can check the box, and it'll give you the email alerts every time I put a show up, so you stay informed. See you in the next episode.